समय बचा भी बहुत कम है. Anyway, I must start with paying my respects to Sant Sichewal ji and all my dignitaries sitting in this auditorium and my dear friends. Let me first congratulate the persons who have organized this civil society in the name of Hum Log, and giving this city a platform to interact with each other, to start the dialogue so that we exchange the views with regard to the current topics with which we are faced with, and rather with which we are feeling disturbed with. Now the topic which I am going to discuss with you, or I am going to share with you, is Duragraha and its impact on the national development of our country. Now, to understand what is Duragraha, I think first we will have to understand what is Satyagraha, because Duragraha is the antonym of Satyagraha. Satyagraha, I am differing with one of the speakers who has earlier spoken here. Satyagraha is Satya Agrah. सच्चाई के साथ किसी को अपील करनी, ईमानदारी से अपील करनी, that is सत्य आग्रह. This is what we learned when we studied Mahatma Gandhi, when we studied the history of India. And I would say, being a Jain by religion, when I studied my religion, that some of the virtues which we were taught by our religion and then also reiterated by the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi, that whenever we have to fight for a cause, that has not to be a physical fight. Whenever we have to fight for something to get a right to which we deserve, it has not to be a physical fight. It has to be a fight of ideology. A fight with the sincerity that yes, we are right, that I am right. The other person, you are wrong, but to make him realize by some peaceful means. Ahimsa is not to be given up at any stage. Satyagraha would mean that I have to convince my opponent. I have not to hate my opponent. I have not to harm or damage my opponent. I have to make him understand that he must perform his duty or obligation for which I am entitled to as a matter of right. And this is what Mahatma Gandhi did. If we remember the history, everybody must have read Mahatma Gandhi a lot. It started when he was thrown out of a train in Petersburg, a place in South Africa, while travelling from Durban to another place in Pretoria. What was the reason behind it was the topic which Mr. Baga was speaking of. I am not touching that topic here because it is such a controversial topic. One judge of the High Court, when touched this topic, he is being started to be for the process of impeachment by the same parliament of our country, now which we are discussing here. What he said was that two things have ruined this country. One is, number one, he said, was reservation. Number two was corruption. And these are the two words which he used in a judgment when he passed the judgment on Hardik Patel's case. 58 members of parliament of this country, our country, they have started the process of impeachment against him. Now that's the irony of this country. Now, leaving it aside, Mahatma Gandhi was thrown out of the train because he happened to have purchased a first class ticket and he was sitting in a first class compartment, and an Englishman or a white person of South Africa, he wanted to sit in that compartment, and he called the official of the railways, asked him that this black person should not be here, because it was mentioned in the rules that slaves and blacks are not allowed to travel in first class of the railways in South Africa. Mahatma Gandhi was asked to get out of here, give place to that white person, but Mahatma Gandhi refused. When he refused, he was said, you will be thrown out, you will be pushed out with force. He said, maybe, I will not go, I have the ticket, I have a right to travel in this compartment. But he was virtually thrown out, his luggage was thrown out, and what he did was, he did not leave the railway station, he sat there. He did not fight with the government by use of force. He sat there, he protested for his right, and slowly there was a following of people which made that movement in the shape of such a big movement that it started as a civil disobedience movement in South Africa. And he brought to India in 1915 when he finally came to India and settled here. So this is how we understood Satyagraha. Now what we feel is, another irony of the country is, every political party, every political outfit, may it be Congress, my dear friend sitting beside me was saying he is a correspondent of the Congress, maybe my other friends from the other political parties, BJP or anybody, we try to flaunt our falling to Mahatma Gandhi, that he is the father of the nation. We are proud of this country that Mahatma Gandhi is our father of nation and we follow him. But what we follow? We follow exactly the opposite what Mahatma Gandhi has taught. Now what we are doing is not Satyagraha but Duragraha. Duragraha is to get something with force, to damage the opponent, to harm the opponent, not only to harm the opponent, to harm the system with which the opponent is also associated. I think the very purpose of adopting a course of Duragraha in achieving something is to defeat the very purpose to achieve that thing. We harass the people, we harass our countrymen, we harass our own associates, and by adopting that means of harassment we want to achieve something. What we have achieved then? Nothing. Ultimately, it is not the achievement, it is the loss of the nation what we have gained. Now the development of the country, the impact is, I think the topic should have been otherwise, that the impact of the national development vis-a-vis this Duragraha is that there cannot be any development when as long as Duragraha is existing in the country by some people or some sections of the people. Now why it is being adopted, I am taking more time. Let me have 2 minutes more. Yes. Why we are adopting this Duragraha? Why some persons are adopting Duragraha? The main reason is, it is an outburst of the frustration from the system, that when we think of getting something, a rightful thing to which we are entitled to, we don't get. When we don't get, we make requests. Still we don't get, we try to persuade. Still we don't get, then we try to shake that person. Still we don't get, then we come and slap him. That is Duragraha. But the situation is made to come to such a pass that some persons adopt those means, whereas they had not started with that means at the first instance. The system or the persons who are under obligation to perform those duties and obligations have forced them to adopt that Duragraha. Now the real cause therefore is the obligations of the persons to whom we have enjoined with a duty to perform. They are not performing their duty. Now we have adopted a democratic system. In that democratic system, we have given certain duties to certain persons who are called public servants. What duties they have to perform, we expected they will perform. Now instead of being public servants, they thought that just like colonial system, which was a system of ruled and the rulers, we are also maybe similarly entitled to all those privileges, the perks. We gave them certain entitlements. We thought that in a good working conditions, since academically they have achieved something, they have passed certain examinations and they have got through this position to serve us, because we wanted the best of the servants for the country to serve so that the country can progress. Now what they did was, I generally give this example. I am owner of a house. For that house, I engage a guard to take care of my house. And I built a small room for him outside my house as a guard room. And I tell him that now, okay, you have been contracted to take care of my house. This is the contract, this is your right, this is your duty. I go out for a few days out of station and I give the control of my house to him, because he is the guard, he has to take control and look after my house in my absence. When I come back, I find that the guard is sitting in my house. When I ask him that it is my house, please now get out, go to your guard room, he says no. Now the control is with me. I am the controller of the house, so I will not get out. If you want to remain here, you remain in the guard room. So this is how we are living. The servants to whom we had given the duty to serve us are ruling you. They are the persons who are ruling you, or you are being ruled. Now you are the servants, they are the masters. Now this is the irony of the country. Now if this becomes a situation, if this becomes the reality, I am giving a very pessimistic picture, but it is a reality. Unless we understand the reality, we will not be able to find the solution. So this is the situation, that the Duragraha being adopted. Sometimes, most of the time, the demands are even not justified, but sometimes the demand is justified. We know as lawyers, my friends are sitting here, Mr. Sibal had also spoken before you, that we have also adopted some kinds of Duragraha by going to strikes, by blocking certain proceedings in the courts, by doing something which was not justified to do. But still, it was done because the demands were justified. We knew that we could not get those demands fulfilled unless we adopted those means. Now, why the situation becomes so advanced that we have to adopt these Duragraha systems to achieve those demands which we want to get.
Very right, sir. This is very well the topic of the upcoming speaker, that why we are forced to adopt Duragraha, and sometimes we feel that we are talking to deaf ears. So thank you so much. I would say that the system has to be changed. You are very right that the system has to be changed, but I totally believe with you that the woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep.